We're live.
And we're live. Hey, everybody. This is Hadley and Rich, and we're waiting for Alan. But we want to go ahead and welcome you to another captivating edition of Watching Weird, where we dive into the most thrilling, quirky, and downright entertaining films that we've seen. Tonight, we've gotten locked up with a lineup of prison movies. How do you like that, Rich? That will be sure to steal your attention and maybe even your heart. So grab your popcorn, secure your seat, grab that tinfoil hat, prepare for a night behind bars with a triple feature review of The Shawshank Redemption, The Mean Machine, and The Longest Yard. So first, we're going to break free with The Shawshank Redemption. So get ready to meet Andy Dufresne. And then we're going to pitch it over to The Mean Machine with Vinnie Jones starring as Danny Meehan, a former soccer star who has I guess, made some bad decisions to land him in the slammer. And finally, we're going to throw a touchdown pass to The Longest Yard, where you can decide whether you prefer the 1974 version or actually, we didn't watch Adam Sandler's
No,
2005 version,
no,
but there's a
pick
secret
one.
here with the Mean Machine. So get ready to rumble. It's going to be fun. And Alan Gamboa, you're late, so I started without you.
Oh
Where
Hi,
no,
you're
buddy.
tardy, man. You're tardy.
I am tardy. I'm retardy.
Don't say that. Hey,
No, no, I mean,
Tony.
That
I'm
happens
tardy
when you
more than
tardy
once.
again. When you tardy and then you tardy again.
Yeah, that's right. I'm tardy twice. Thank you. Or repeat it.
All right.
Tardier.
So I'm excited. These are some pretty good films. Y'all want to go ahead and get started with this movie marathon?
Sure.
So
And I want to say
who's going
this:
first?
remember, in the world of watching Weird, escape is just a movie away. Haha. Enjoy the show.
Wait, can you say that again?
I said that escape is just a movie away.
Thank
You
you. I
just,
just wanted to hear that.
it's kind of corny, but there you go. All right.
That's
So
gonna be my tagline. That's my tagline from now on.
Hey, Dan. Dungeon Dan's here.
Hello, everybody.
hey guys, we're glad y'all made it. Tonight's gonna be fun. Like I said, we've got some prison movies. Do y'all care if I start off?
I want you to start
No.
off, please.
Okay. Well, my pick for the week was The Shawshank Redemption, which is a 1994 drama that was filmed and directed by Frank Darabont, based on the Stephen King novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. And this is one of my favorite films. It's a movie that I made my dad go see with me, and I think he was really worried, like in the very beginning. But it turned out to be one of his favorite movies, and so I always like to watch this movie. It's great, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of the background. The story follows Andy Dufresne is played by Tim Robbins, and he is a banker who could have been allegedly wrongly convicted of murdering his wife and her lover. They were sentenced to he was sentenced to two consecutive terms, life terms at Shawshank State Penitentiary. And Andy experiences some really harsh realities in the beginning of his stay, but throughout his to stay at the prison, he maintains his innocence and hopes to be redeemed. This movie was is it's so if you haven't seen it, you really should. It is just a masterfully done movie with some incredible acting and some great storytelling. At the prison, Andy befriends Red Redding, played by Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman is doing the voiceover for this, and it's great. As y'all know, Morgan Freeman has just got that soothed voice, but
I
Morgan
wonder why they
plays.
picked him to do voiceover.
I wonder why. He's just got a manner about him. But y'all know I'm a
Oh,
Morgan
God.
Freeman fan. But anyway, so he's a seasoned inmate known for procuring contraband, and over the years, Andy uses his financial savviness to help the corrupt warden, played by Bob Gunton. I think his name was Warden Norton, and the prison guards with their finances, and he's laundering money all under the guise of prison improvements. So Andy kind of makes a place for himself while he's in Shawshank. And Despite the brutality and the corruption he faces, his spirit and intelligence earn him the respect among the other inmates. He uses his skills to improve the library and help people get high school diplomas. Him and Red just develop this kind of almost bond of brotherhood, and he shares his dreams of freedom and living in this place. I think is it in Mexico?
Yes.
Yes.
Zihuatanejo. I can't speak.
Zihuatanejo.
Well, it sounds magical. And
It
there
is.
comes a time when Andy discovers evidence that could prove his innocence, but the warden, fearing exposure of his illicit activities, refuses to help and takes drastic measures to keep Andy in prison. So, unbeknownst to anyone, Andy has plans of his own, and he kind of tunnels his way through a cell block under the, I guess, the cover of beautiful women. Um, anyway, I'm not going to ruin the end of the movie. I think if you haven't seen it at this point in your life, it would be um, horrible for me to ruin it for you. If you have seen it, let's talk about it. Y'all know, like I said, this is a favorite of mine. It is probably in my top 10 forever movies. It's just beautiful, and I really like it. So, guys, what do y'all think?
Well, while I agree that you absolutely shouldn't have ruined it for anyone, I am totally going to ruin it for you because if you haven't watched the movie, you're just a giant dumbass. This is one of the best movies ever made. This is top 10 for me. Um, I'll give it 6 stars right now. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. The acting, the direction, the story itself. Um, it's fantastic. A lot of smaller actors that you know from other stuff are in this.
Mhm.
Not a lot of huge big names. Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins, of course, notwithstanding. This is this movie delves a lot into the sadistic and bad side of prison. A lot of other movies don't do that, but this one doesn't just tell Andy's story. It tells, what happens to him while he's there and how he processes it. And then when you realize, of course, he's not a bad guy. He's a decent human being. He's been framed the whole time. He never did the crime they put him in prison for. Then the warden finds out. He's like, hey, wow, he really didn't do this. But while Hadley, you said that he didn't want to get caught, I don't think that was the issue. I think he wanted to keep making money because Andy Dufresne is like a banking genius, and he figures out how to make tons and tons of money, from prison for the warden, and the warden's like, I'm not losing that, and so bad things happen, and he keeps Andy in prison. It has the entire movie. You're just like, oh my god, this poor guy. Oh, this is awful. This is terrible. He's in prison because he didn't do something. But the ending is so fantastic and so wonderful that everybody's like, woohoo, this is great. This is fantastic. I don't know that it made up for the entire time he was in prison. I don't think that would be, but it's such a good ending and such a, they really stick it to the bad guy in this and let the good guy be the hero and win. That it's worth the entire set of torture that poor Andy Dufresne goes through.
Well, before I let Alan talk because he was tardy, I forgot to go over my trivia, so
Oh,
I want y'all to know this because I think that it'll make y'all happy. So, casting choices. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman's iconic roles could have been very different. Tom Hanks, Kevin Costner, and Tom Cruise were considered for Andy. But
Oh,
get
wow.
this. Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, and Robert Redford were considered for Red.
I think that would have been a win with anybody. They were all good. I mean, I love.
Well,
Morgan
it would have been a
Freeman as
different
Red.
movie, though. It
Yeah,
would have
oh,
been
sure,
such a different
sure.
movie with any of these people,
Yeah.
which is why I'm mentioning it, is because I think it was perfectly. I mean, okay, so I don't think anybody could have played Red as well as Morgan Freeman.
Agreed.
And I think the fact that he's played by an African American just carried more weight to me than it would have if it had been said Clint Eastwood, Ford, or Redford. I mean, I just think I just don't know that it would have been as impactful with their friendship and the depth of it there. Anyway, I don't know. Also, did you know that despite receiving critical acclaim and being touted as one of the best movies ever made, that the film, nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay, won none?
Happens.
Yeah, I just can't believe it though, because it really is such a good movie.
Well,
Yeah.
Stephen King was not well liked in Hollywood for a while, so that could have played a lot into it.
It was also a box office disappointment.
Yep.
Well, so was
It only
I.
made like 29 million, something like that.
Said it didn't really get the massive following until it was released on home video and played on cable TV. But I know, like with my dad, he did not want to see it because it was a prison movie,
Yeah.
and so I think that it just, I think that, and in the beginning, I think it's like when there's a shower scene, and I'm not saying it to be funny, there really is.
Mhm.
I think that really, he thought it was gonna be that kind of movie, and I think a lot of people thought it was gonna be that kind of movie, and it's just not. It's just a beautiful, beautiful storytelling experience.
What kind of
Okay,
movie is
Alan, go. Do what?
that? What kind of movie is that? Anyway, I don't watch a lot of prison movies,
Well,
but
you worked in a prison,
yeah, so I don't
so
I don't
this
watch a
this this
lot.
episode should be fun for you, right?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yes. No, no,
Nostalgic.
no. Nostalgia. There we go. There we go. Did you know that this movie, Frank Darabont was in, is for The Walking Dead. He was an up and coming director. And through this program that King had, I'm not a big fan of King's. I
Same.
like The Stand was I think, the last good book he did, but that's up for debate. Anyway, he has a program with up and coming artists and stuff where they can take some of his short stories and basically make them for free. That's kind of neat, and that's what this was. Darabont ended up taking, I think, 5 grand. I think he paid King 5 grand. King never cashed that check. He framed it and then eventually sent it back to Frank Darabont. So, I mean, that's kind of a neat thing for a movie that's beloved by people, that it was basically free that aspect of it to make. The source
Yeah.
material was free.
I didn't know any of that.
And the cast in this, I mean, Bob Gunton, like you mentioned, that dude plays the same kind of character in a lot of movies. He's typecast, but he's great. William Sadler, that played Haywood, the Aryan guy. I mean, he's great. Die Hard too. Clancy Brown, of course. He played a real asshole, and Clancy
So
Brown's great. Mark Rolston from Aliens. Let's rock.
Yeah.
It Whitmore, old James Whitmore. It's good to see him in a movie. That old Hollywood actor. And Jeffrey. Now I got to put in Jeffrey DeMunn, who was in The Walking Dead. He's the guy with the RV in the first 2, 3 seasons.
He's what?
Frank Darabont didn't forget about him and put him in a great role. Because that's kind of an iconic character, even though I can't remember his name, for The Walking Dead. You think about when he got killed.
Yeah.
So it's got a great cast, stellar cast of character actors. Stellar cast of character actors. And Tim Robbins, I think I hadn't heard of him before. Oh, no, I saw him in some teenage bikini comedy back in the 80s. I watched. And he played this dude named Mother, and they were trying to, of course, what you do in teenage beach movies. So that was the only time I'd ever seen him before. And this is the first time I saw him, and I thought it was pretty good. And of course, you got Mr. Freeman himself, good flick. I was dubious because it's a prison flick. And then I always tell myself, well, back in that era, things were a lot different, treatment of, inmates, convicts was a lot different. It's a great flick. I was surprised when I read the trivia, like you were saying, Hadley, that it was skipped over by by the Academy Awards, and it didn't make money. I thought it did. It has now, I'm sure,
Well,
Yeah.
but
Max is saying
it,
that it was up against Forrest Gump. So, but
yeah, I could see that.
I'm gonna have to
Forrest
admit, as
Gump's a
good
good
as
movie.
Forrest Gump was, I don't think it has the longevity that Shawshank has.
Forrest Gump is
Oh,
not
I
a
know.
movie I saw once, and I don't care if I see it again.
Yeah.
See,
I
I
enjoyed it when I saw
love
it.
that movie. I love Forrest Gump. I think it's a fantastic movie. Every aspect of it is excellent. It's just fantastic. Much like Shawshank Redemption. For me, those two are kind of inseparable. I couldn't pick one over the other. I think they're both excellent. Both are extremely well done. Both,
Yeah,
um, captivated me. The thing with Forrest Gump is, you know, all of the historical references in that movie are just the way they play them up with him, and they cut
yeah,
in. It's just phenomenal. But it's hard to beat the story of the Shawshank Redemption. So
it
I
is.
pick between those
Well,
two movies.
It
okay,
is.
just bear with me. But
Very.
Forrest Gump is almost like a monologue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this movie is like a ballet. It's all about how everybody interacts with everybody. It's a beautiful dance. I mean, the story about, and I can't think of his name, but the little man with the bird, his story
yeah.
is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's just not something you expected, you know? Um, it's just every one of the characters in it, they just hit their mark. It was just like I said, it was like a ballet. It was very well done.
Yeah, it was. It
Rich
was.
is look Rich is looking at me. I keep saying ballet, but I mean that's when I say that I mean like
No, that's fine. That's what I
everybody
say.
interacts and moves in a
No,
graceful and beautiful way. And it is a pleasure to watch the movie as a whole. And like I said with Forrest Gump, I remember Bubba Gump, but other than that, and Lieutenant Dan, but the other characters, I mean, even Jenny just wasn't a memorable performance. You know, Gary Sinise, he was memorable, but like I said, it's not like Brooks. Max gave me his name, Brooks and the Bird. Jake was the bird. Max Crum, you're awesome. So, and
I
Landa,
like.
I've missed y'all too. Scott and Fred had a call in sick tonight.
Yeah.
They didn't call in sick. I don't know what they're doing, but they're probably out drinking and
They're,
having a good time.
it reminds Scott of his time in that Afghan jail, so
yeah.
he had
You
some
couldn't handle
trauma
the
that he
prison
could
time.
not get through.
The things he had to
Yeah,
do, the poor guy. He's scarred for
yeah.
life.
So he can't do prison movies because it just takes him back. Um, Forrest Gump is a movie I watch in parts. It's a great movie. I enjoyed it first time I saw it, but it's a movie I'll watch in parts. There's certain episodes of it I'll watch. Shawshank, say that 10 times real fast. But Forrest Gump, I just like to watch the Vietnam part and some of the other parts. In the end, because life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
But
Well, they're very
they're
different
both good
movies.
movies.
They're both
They
good,
are.
and
They're
I'm
very
not. I'm
different.
not taking. I don't mean to take away from. Like I said, I'm not trying to take away from Forrest Gump. I loved it, with the time I saw both of them, I probably would have said Forrest Gump was the better movie because I had a better experience having left it. But of course, it's very different subject matter,
Yeah.
and you know, 94 Hadley and 2024 Hadley are very different characters too. Like I said, in 2024, I'm going to say that Shawshank has the longevity because of the. Did they kiss the boat? Hey, Tina.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Tina.
I just
Yeah.
think that overall, it's a better story,
Yeah.
and I think that it's because of the other actors. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There's just something about those two movies. I mean, like I said, they're completely different movies.
Mhm.
Great acting, but like Forrest Gump, I'll watch in pieces. Where Shawshank, I'll watch at once. I don't know.
No,
I like them both.
I don't know.
Honestly, I would probably put. I know I just said that I couldn't do this, but I would probably put Shawshank a little bit higher than Forrest Gump. but I certainly don't dislike Forrest Gump. That's one of my favorite movies.
No.
But I mean, let's just be honest for a minute. I mean, when you think back on Forrest Gump, you think about Tom Hanks and what a phenomenal
Yeah.
job he did, but you don't really think about anybody else.
Oh, I think about Gary Sinise. I think he did a fantastic job.
He
I
did,
think
but
How often
not.
do you think about
outacted
Gary
Tom
Sinise?
Hanks.
Do
Say again,
what?
How
Alan?
often do you think about it? How often do you think about Gary Sinise?
So it's like that. Gary
Is this a
Sinise
problem?
is an absolute goddamn hero in my eyes. I think
He
he's
is.
one of
Well,
the
yeah, it's
best
Gary
people on
Sinise.
planet Earth. So I think of Gary
He
Sinise
is.
often and fondly. No, I didn't fondle him. I said fondly. Gary
Well,
Sinise is great.
Fondling? Fondling?
Gary
So you're thinking about
Sinise
fondling
does.
Gary
No,
Sinise?
Gary
you just said it. I
Gary
didn't.
Sinise does more for the men in uniform than
Yeah.
anyone else in the nation
I
and in
I
our
absolutely agree.
lifetime.
And that's why I have the utmost and absolute utter respect for Gary.
Yes.
Hey, Rich, you need to get a smaller set of headphones, I think.
I know they're a little fat on my head, but I do have a fat head. Watch what I can do over here. I can sort of meld
Whoa.
into it. Right? You can't do
Whoa.
that.
Boo
I can
Bradley,
do
go
that.
away.
Nah, that's trippy.
Look at that. That whole
Oh.
nope. This whole nope. This whole side of my face is missing, but I can make it come back. Watch what I can do.
Whoa. Oh, that's why you
Can't
look
do
like
that.
shaved. Look at that.
Yeah, right. I can shave quick. True story.
Oh. I early got fingered early by Rich, folks. That's great.
I don't even want to know. We are talking about prison movies.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
So what are we gonna give this one? What do you say, boss?
I'm going to say a 7.
Yeah, right. Big Mike.
In reality, I'll give it a 5.
I will also give it a 5.
Yeah.
Might not be enough stars for this film, but
Yeah,
we'll leave
you
it there.
can't. It's a classic.
Okay, I
mean,
give it a
is
5, but
classic.
I'm going to give it a +2 because I do enjoy it, and it is something that I watch repeatedly.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely
Good.
correct. I agree
Good.
with
And like
the
I said,
7.
it had a stellar cast of character actors in it. You know,
It did.
it wasn't pulled along by Kevin Costner or Clint Eastwood as co-stars. You know, it was a bunch of guys you see in movies all the time.
Yeah.
You know, taking small roles.
And Morgan Freeman crushed it. He did absolutely
Yeah.
great. And they all did. Everybody was fantastic. The warden was fantastic too. He was great. Clancy Brown,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It was just, I mean, it was just, like I said, it was just chef's kiss perfect.
Mm.
All right, so let's
Right.
roll on. So, Alan, are you going to talk about The Mean Machine?
Yeah, I'll talk about Mean Machine. This is a 2001 remake of The Longest Yard. And it stars Vinnie Jones as Danny Meehan, the Burt Reynolds character in The Longest Yard. He's a disgraced footballer who threw a match against for England against Germany, and now he's kind of a national disgrace. You know, they look at, I guess they look at their football clubs more as an honor, going against other countries and stuff as more of an honor than, you know, our football, you know, is different. Yeah, they're more rabid. Their fans are more rabid, even though we're getting that way. We are getting that way. Yeah, we're getting that way. You know, we're getting murder. We're getting crowds of people that injure each other at games anyway.
Yeah.
I can't say, I forgot what you can say on YouTube, what you can't. So anyway, so Vinnie Jones, he ends up in prison because he has a drunken assault charge on some policemen there that chase him to a bar, chase him to a pub, and he ends up fighting them and he gets thrown in prison. And under the thumb of a warden, imagine this warden who's got a lot of things going on under the table, or a governor, they call them governors there. And so there's a lot of little character actors too there. And he is oppressed by the guards, of course. And he's oppressed by the main gang leader in there. I think his name is Charlie Sykes is the gang, and he runs this gang. He gets his own circle of friends, and the warden pressures him into a match against his guards. And it becomes a big money-making thing because this warden has money out to owes money to a bookie who's going to blow up his expensive Saab. And he gets in with the gang leader, Charlie Sykes, and to get this game going. And basically, it plays out like The Longest Yard. You know, uh, Vinnie Jones, who was a real footballer for 15 years before this. I think this might have been his first movie. This is produced by Guy Ritchie. And, you know, you watch Guy Ritchie movies, and he's got Vinnie Jones, and he's got our man, um, Jason Statham in this.
Yeah.
And Jason Statham plays this guy named Monk, who's just this crazy inmate. And he joins the team, and there's a character in Longest Yard that this is guy's pattern off. I can't remember the name of the guy. And so you've got this game against the guards, and of course, it doesn't go the way they want to, and the inmates are winning. And then the governor, I'm going to give this away because if you've seen The Longest Yard, you know basically how it plays out. The governor with these eyebrows, like he's got eyebrows like this.
He's
It's
got
crazy.
some eyebrows now. His
Yeah.
eyebrows, he should have had a like wizard cloak and a staff and been in Lord of the Rings. It was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Tina said he had magnificent eyebrows. We're watching it.
She is right. That is the word for them. They were magnificent.
So, like um, Vinnie Jones' sidekick is this old guy, Doc, that's been in prison forever. That accidentally, he was trying to kill this guy that was going to kill him. He threw a grenade in the house. Well, the guy's wife and kid were in the house, so they all died. So he's doing forever in prison. He shares this, like inmates always do. He shared this with Vinnie Jones in a heartbreaking moment. And this character ends up, I'm going to give this away, being killed on accident when they're trying to kill Vinnie Jones. One of the inmates places a bomb in the locker, and it kills the old guy. And so Vinnie Jones really wants to win now. And they're winning. And as they win, the warden comes up because he's going to lose a lot of money and tells him, hey, we got this confession signed by the guy that did it, and he's implicating you as wanting the character named Doc dead. So if you guys win, you're going to stay in prison forever. So Vinnie Jones has a, conscious problem. So he starts to throw the game, and then the guys are looking up at him. And this is like Boys and Company C. There's several movies like this where the main character that if they win, they're screwed. If they lose, they're screwed. So he decides to win. And of course they win. And it's an okay movie. It's got a bunch of like English character actors in it. Jason Fleming, which is you've seen him in a lot of things. Big redhead guy. Danny Dyer, who was like in every movie in the mid 2000s in England over there. And it's just Ralph Brown. I think he was in Game of Thrones and stuff, that plays the head guard. He's in a lot of stuff. This was okay. This was okay. I don't think it was great. It was worth a watch, but it wasn't. I thought it could have been better. If you want to see a good English prison movie, watch Lucky Break with Lenny James. It's a comedy. It's a hilarious movie. This one was okay. What you guys think?
Boss?
I saw this movie in like 2006, 2007, and I feel like I watched two different movies. When I rewatched it, it just didn't have the fun that I had the first time I saw it. So I was a little bit let down. Originally, I loved it, but I think now, which I'm glad that you told me that it was Guy Ritchie, because I was like, this just seems like a Guy Ritchie movie, but it's not. But
Well,
it
he
had
produced
that
it.
whole Guy Ritchie vibe to it.
Right,
So
right. I think it would have been better had the. Oh, I know it would have been.
it would have been
This
better. What?
executive produced it. It would have been better if he had written it, but he just executive produced it, unfortunately.
But I mean, in my memory, it seemed like there was a lot more Jason Statham in it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and,
he's not
and
in
a
it.
lot more. It seemed like there was more story in my, and maybe I just filled in the blanks. I don't know, but I enjoyed it based off of, I guess, like Vinnie Jones is the guy's name. Is that the actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a real football player
Yeah.
in Britain. Well, I
Yeah.
think he's Welsh, so he played for Wales. But I mean,
15, 18 years. How long did he play?
15 years.
Yeah.
15 years.
but I always enjoy seeing him in Guy Ritchie stuff. So it was nice to see him kind of have the lead. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. But I will say that in my memory, it was much better. But it was fun to rewatch.
Well,
I
you know,
probably won't
Hadley.
be watching it again.
Yeah, you know, Hadley. I noticed this because I think this is like his first or second movie or whatever. He's a good natural actor.
Yeah,
You know,
he and
I mean,
good
he was
looking.
good in this.
And he's a
He
big
was,
guy too. I mean, I don't know if
yeah,
you saw him like on
Yeah, he's a large man.
the soccer field. I mean, he's got to be at least the size of a Rich Restucci.
He's a big
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
He was Bullet Tooth Tony in the movie Snatch.
Hmm.
He's
yeah.
in one of the best movies ever made.
Hey,
Great actor.
Snatch reference twice in one day.
There you go. I'll scold that. He's an excellent actor. Uh, this film, like you had, I had seen it years ago, and then I watched it again recently, and I wanted to like it more. It wasn't bad, but the problem is, I watched this before I watched The Longest Yard, and The
Uh,
Longest Yard is, of course, one of my favorite football movies. So I was like, the ripoffs were easy to discern. I mean, it's the same movie pretty much, and while Vinnie Jones just crushes everything that he plays, this movie was a little slow. It wasn't.
mhm.
It wasn't as good as it, like, again, like you had said, Hadley. It wasn't as good as I had seen many years ago, but it wasn't bad. It was. It was. I was glad that I watched it again. I don't know that I'll watch it again, in the future. But I'm glad I saw it. Actually watched it today. I'm glad I watched it today. I'm glad I saw it again. Um, I just I think that it wasn't as good as either the original or the Adam Sandler remake of The Longest Yard. I just think both of those two films are better. And there's actually another ripoff. I believe it's an Egyptian film that's ripped off on The Longest Yard as well. So those four are all the same, pretty much the same movie, and it really does stick to the same, formula. Um,
Well, I'm gonna have to disagree about the Adam Sandler movie.
okay, and that's fine. That's fine.
And I say this because I feel like the Adam Sandler movie had a budget and was shiny, but it was like new money. It just wasn't. What did he just do?
He gave me a beer. That's my son. Go ahead.
Nice.
It just.
I love that kid.
I think that I like the fact that someone in Britain loved this movie, The Longest Yard,
Mm-hmm.
so much that they wanted to remake it and put it in soccer. I.e.,
Yeah.
football
Twice.
for the people across the pond.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes me like this movie better. I like the character actors. Again, I think that it with a better budget or a better director or whatever, it could have been really good because it had those actors in, like we were talking about with Shawshank, where you have a lot of really good character actors. It had the potential. And with the Adam Sandler movie, to me, it was just polishing up what we already had with The Longest Yard.
Yeah, it was just to make money. The only reason
Yeah,
they did that film was to make
exactly.
money.
It's just to make money. It had no heart.
Yeah. It went
Fair
through the
enough.
motions, but
Go ahead, buddy.
yeah, it went through the motions, and it had the motions were good. They had the pattern and they just went through the motions with more money, which made it slick.
It
This
was
one,
exactly the same film. It's
yeah,
like even when Burt Reynolds. Well, I'll get to that in mind. But in this movie, Adam Sandler insults the short policeman at the beginning. It's
Yeah.
literally the same thing. I mean, he's got different verbiage, more modern verbiage.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Frodo, don't get short with me. I thought that was great. That was funny. But like you said, Hadley, it's not. it's not as strong a film as the original. Probably because it wasn't the original. There are remakes that are better than the original film, but not this one, not the Adam Sandler version
Mm-mm.
of the one.
It's slick. It's
It is
slick.
slick. You're right.
But this
It's
one,
but
I'm glad.
I mean, it. I think I don't have the words to describe how it makes me feel. I'm not in touch with my emotions on this one, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're not in prison. Then you can sit down and be in touch with
We
your
can fix
feelings with
that.
somebody else.
I saw where
Um,
Tina was saying that.
yeah, that we're watching that part. She says, "What? They don't do that in prison." Anyway, um, what I liked about this one is I saw, I've seen Vinnie Jones in 100 movies, and this one really made me realize what a good natural actor he is. You know, and why does he shave his head? I would never shave my head full of hair like that. And Jason Statham, when they first have him, and you don't see his face, right? But you see, from his neck down and the way he's standing, and you knew that was Jason Statham when they're uncuffing him,
Yeah.
and they don't show his face and they show him. I knew he was in this movie, but the way he moves, because from a million movies, Jason Statham moves the
He
same way,
moves like a
and it's good
panther.
to see him.
You can tell he's someone
So,
who does a lot of like martial arts or yoga or something because he just moves like a cat.
have you ever
Well, they're
seen the
both
movie Euro Trip?
no,
It's called Euro Trip, and the film itself is terrible, but he's a football hooligan, and he's on a bus, and he just goes on, and it's for a solid like maybe a minute and a half of 2 minutes of just him screaming, just yelling, and I'm like looking at him, I'm like, how his head's gonna pop? This man's gonna die, and it was Vinnie Jones, and he just killed it. It was another classic Vinnie Jones. I love the guy. I think he's in my top 100 actors. Vinnie Jones. He's just
oh yeah,
fantastic.
and it's too bad that he isn't. I don't want to say he's fallen into, but of course, he's probably making a lot of money. But he does a lot of B and Z movies nowadays. But if you got to wait around for one movie a year where you make maybe I don't know how much you make, anymore because it's changed. It's not as much as they used to make. You just got to make bills. So if you're going to be in, uh, vampires from Scott Baker's cellar, they're going to pay you $100,000 to be in it. Yeah, you're going to do it. Sure, why not? Make the house payment, whatever. And one thing about Vinnie Jones is he was married to the same lady from the early 90s to 2019 when she passed away from skin cancer.
Mm.
So that's sad. But he knew her since they were kids together. So
True love.
made
He's the kind of guy I think I'd want to hang out with.
Yeah.
yeah, made me like him a lot better when reading that stuff. Or actually Tina would. She's looking up stuff. But yeah, Jason
She's
Statham's body.
cheating.
Yeah, I
She's helping
do.
you cheat. Are you cheating on your homework, Alan?
There's
Yes.
no rules.
She looks
Nobody-
things up. She never used to look things up. She never used to know what actor was who. And now she's the one stopping. Let me see what actor was in that. Let me check
I love it.
IMDb. And I'm like,
I
Wait a
love
minute.
it.
Wait a minute.
all
Wait a
right.
minute. Weird Realities has a staff. A staff of
Oh
Tina.
my God, we do.
Oh my God, Tina, that's awesome.
What is it? I'm not even going to ask how Alan's getting paid or you're
No,
paying Alan.
no,
I'm not asking.
no.
Pro bono.
But y'all know what I'm
Pro
thinking.
boner.
So why do we give this movie? I'll let you two go because you've seen it before I did. You saw it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. It's it's the complete formulaic ripoff of The Longest Yard,
But it's not because it's
Right.
British.
but British. Yeah. So
They got accents and it's got Jason Statham. Okay, I'm going to give it a 3.75.
A what? A
3.75.
0.75?
3.75.
Oh, 3 point. I'll give it 3. I'll give it a 3.
After y'all
it was worth watching.
y'all both have just written letters of love for Vinny, and you're not even giving him over a 3. I just can't.
whoa! No, Vinny gets like a 15, but the movie that's gonna out of me. That'll get it.
Yeah.
Vinny's great.
I'll give it a 3.75 because I like the fact that it got made in Britain. That makes me happy
Okay.
with this staff and with these people.
So
I love that I can't even think of his name right now. Y'all know I like him. Snatch guy. What's his name? Guy Ritchie.
Jason
I
Statham?
love that
Oh,
he was
yeah,
Guy
involved in
Ritchie.
this.
Yeah, I did. I was
So it's
surprised when I saw the name on the credits. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be really good." Well, it was okay.
all right.
Tina's right.
Yeah,
The magnificent eyebrows should have gotten a 5 for all on their own.
don't get she'd be tweezed all over him if she was around him. She'd have those tweezers out, plucking them eyebrows. Anyway, Rich, what do you got for us?
Oh well, I have the egg. I have the movie that spawned all of the other three movies. Um, so 6 years after I was born, a genius by the name of Tracy Keenan Wynn wrote a script based on a story by another genius, Albert S. Ruddy. These two fellows thought they could win the hearts and minds of the masses by making a film about some convicts who play football against their guards. And they were right. Paul Wrecking Crew, played by Burt Reynolds, former NFL MVP and quarterback, makes a pretty big mistake when he steals his girlfriend's piece of crap car and assaults two policemen. He ends up with an 18-month sentence in Citrus Prison in Florida with Ed Lauder as the head guard and Eddie Albert as the sadistic warden. It's almost like we've heard this before. The prison has a decent semi-pro football team, and the warden wants Crew to coach. A tune-up game between the guards and the cons is a result, with many stars from the 70s playing both sides. And this is a comedy at heart, and it makes you feel for the cons and dislike the warden. And that was a big deal, I guess, for people in 1974 when this thing came out. People didn't like the fact that you liked the prisoners and hated the guards. Basically, you liked the bad guys and hated the good guys because the good guys were the bad guys and the bad guys were the good guys. It didn't work for a lot of people. That said, it grossed $22 million in North America, which was a moderate success for the time. It wasn't like a huge thing, but it holds a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
And it was nominated for an Academy Award, and it won the Golden Globe Award for Best Comedy. The plot is, well, we just talked about it. We just heard it. It's the same plot as before. It's got a few idiosyncrasies and a few differences.
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. There you go. He was a fantastic character actor for the time. He's the same guy in every movie.
Yeah.
Same film as Alan's movie. Exactly the same film as Mean Machine. In fact, the name of the Cons football team is the Mean Machine. Mm-hmm. Same thing with caretaker, the manager of the football team getting murdered, and it's going to get blamed on the lead, who in this case is Burt Reynolds. But honestly, one of the best characters in this film, and I can't remember the actor's name, is Unger, and he's the guy who he's a rat, and he's ratting out the football plays of the cons to the guards, and he's a murderer, and he ends up killing caretaker with a firebomb in a light bulb. And he's just the way he played, he's just this slimy, greasy, just awful character. And I was like, holy crap, the guy really played well. And some of the guards in the film, a lot of them were actual professional football players, and so they were just dicks, and it was great the way they played them. And some of the cons, also fantastic, also professional football players. Granny Granville, he's a singer. He was it was Little Caesar from the 60s and 70s, and he played fantastic in this movie. This movie is, I actually really like this film. It does so much for your heartstrings when you're watching bad guys be good guys and good guys be bad guys, that it really, like I said, it pulls on my heartstrings. And I think this is Burt Reynolds' best movie. It's far and away his best film. People will say Deliverance, and they'll say whatever they want to say, but I think Burt Reynolds really crushed it in this. And he was young. It was, it was 1974.
So let me stop, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But Burt Reynolds was a football player at Florida State, right? So I mean, this is Miami, probably Florida State.
Florida State. All right. I thought it was Miami. Anyway, go ahead.
So this was really probably more like him than not. And I think that that enthusiasm was catching in this movie. If that makes it with I mean, because if you're playing football and you're a football player and you're playing with real players, you get enthusiastic about that, and it just it's a guys movie.
Yeah,
It's a I don't know.
he did. He played for Florida. He injured his knee, and that ended his career.
So did he play for
So
Florida State or for
Yeah, it
Miami?
was
yeah.
FSU. I just looked it up. You're right.
See, I know sports stuff. No one thought I had
Yes,
the answer to that.
yes. He played at FSU, injured his knee, and that ended his career. And then we got the Bandit.
I love me some Burt Reynolds, old school Burt Reynolds. I mean, he just couldn't do it wrong, and that's why this movie did so well. Is because everybody loved Burt Reynolds and wanted to be friends with him.
So he and my dad have the same laugh, that ridiculous freaking high
Oh
pitch.
wow!
But and my dad actually kind of looked like him.
Ooh.
So
Oh
I mean,
wow!
they're both passed away right now, but he looked a little when they were younger. They looked a lot the same. So yeah, tidbit.
It'd be a great laugh to be around.
It would
It would
infectious.
be.
It was.
Mhm.
It was. My dad could laugh.
Yeah,
It was great.
that's cool.
Well, what did you think of this, Big Mike?
This movie, it's part of, he did a bunch of movies like in this. I want to say the Swampy, Gator, White Lightning, these kind of drive-in type movies in that era. He had a lot of those, and this one of them. And uh, the producer or writer on this, Albert Ruddy, is that who? Ruddy?
Yep. Yep. He wrote it.
He's behind producing a lot of the Godfather movies. A lot of that got made because of his know-how. That guy, and he made money off this, and he made money off Mean Machine too. I think he died. He died in 2023 or something like that. He died at there was a I know I'm going off on a tangent here on Albert S. Ruddy, but he was the brains behind a lot of the Godfather getting made. There's a mini series about that. It's on Paramount. I forgot the name of it. You watch it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's worth the watch. It really is. But anyway, Burt Reynolds is great in this. Like I said, he was young. He was at the height of his action star, status.
Mm.
This is before Smokey and the Bandit. Before I think it's before people knew how funny he was. I don't think he'd made a comedy until then. I don't think he had. I think he had movies that had a little bit of humor in that stuff, but I think they're mostly action movies. So I think this really showed people how funny he could be. Eddie Albert, great actor from era bygone, as a warden. Ed Latour as the captain of the guards. That dude plays a bad guy in so many westerns.
Yep.
He's just a great, great character actor. You had a lot of pro football players from that time. The caretaker, Jim Hampton.
That's true.
I remember him. Hangar 18. I'm trying to think of some other movies. Anyway, just a bunch of good character actors in this one. It's a good flick. It really is. And Adam Sandler, the heart wasn't in it like it is in this movie. Because we've seen it already.
Yeah.
You knew what was coming. But this movie still holds up.
It does.
It really does.
I'm going to go back and go on a tangent and say it's because Burt Reynolds loved football. I mean, and I don't know if y'all know this, but he financially supported Florida State's football team until he died. Like, he changed
Wow.
the game for them. He was a huge benefactor for that team. He loved the game. And I think, again, that, and I don't know if y'all played football or not, if you were really into that sport, but, when you're around a bunch of guys that like to play, it's different. And I'm sorry, I don't think Adam Sandler's a big football guy. I don't think that, I just don't. I think that's what came across in the first film is that energy. I could be
Right.
that's my 2 cents worth. Is that Burt Reynolds loved it. He loved making that movie, and I think that it just caught fire to the whole set.
You could be right. I mean, you really could be because, you know, I don't think Sandler had enough time to play football as a teenager, you know? I think he
I
was
don't even
already,
think he played high school football. There was an
yeah,
interview with
yeah,
Burt Reynolds that I saw, and he was talking about Adam Sandler because Burt Reynolds was in the movie too. He
that's
played
right.
David Harbour,
Hmm.
and he said that Sandler never even played high school football and didn't know how to throw one. That said, I think that if the original 1974 version of The Longest Yard had never been made, and Sandler's film was made, when was that? What year was it?
2005,
Was it
something.
2025? 2005. I think it would have done exactly the same as it did. As it
Yeah.
did. It's just not the same film. It does have a ton of actors, and it's got a ton of professional football players, a couple of professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
It was really well done, but it's just not the same movie.
It doesn't have the heart.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
right, and that's the best way to put it. It's just it doesn't have the same heart that the original did.
However, as someone has pointed out, in The Waterboy, Adam Sandler nailed it.
He does.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Now you
important.
see it. Now you do. But like Haley, it's a lot different than there's a difference between being around it and living it.
Well, and
You
y'all
know.
aren't Southern, and I'm gonna tell y'all, Southern people, and Burt Reynolds was Southern. He's from Florida. Football, especially college football, but football is I mean, it's almost like a religion here. People love it. They love their SEC. Again, I'm not really a sports person, but I mean, I've been to see Florida State play at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. So, I mean, even I've been to you know, everybody goes, everybody does it. It's just part of the culture. And so I think that that's a totally different vibe that you got with that Burt Reynolds movie than you probably got from the Adam Sandler one. I just don't, again, that fuel behind it, that's contagious.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't want to try. What is harder to keister, a football or soccer ball? I believe this is what is most important.
I think the football,
Yeah. Which one's
it's the
softer?
shape. The shape is what I think would be harder.
Yeah, definitely. No, this was a good pick because this is a movie I think gets overlooked. You know, just
It is.
Well, it's an older film too. I mean, it was made in the early '70s. Look at me, look at my face. I'm an old son of a bitch, and I was 6 years old when this came out. So there you
I'm
go.
gonna tell you how old I was. I think I was 11.
44.
Yeah. I was 50. My parents saw this at the drive-in.
Yeah.
I remember that. They told me, don't watch it. Don't stay in the back seat with your toys, you know. And of
Well,
course,
it's
I watched
another
it.
one. I mean, this was a good week for watching movies because these were three good picks. I mean, each which I mean, I think that Shawshank was the original, which I don't know that we've ever shared this, but at the beginning of the year, everybody picked, was it 10 or 12 movies for the year, and we just kind of rotate those. It was our picks, and we all just kind of rotate them out by whose movies picked what week. And I don't know, Rich and I have very similar tastes, so this could have been his pick or my pick. But I think that I picked the Three Amigos. So I think this might have been his. So anyway, but it could have been mine. And it just fell that we picked these other two prison movies to kind of keep the theme together, but we really could have done all three of the Longest Yard / Mean Machine.
Well, I was in favor of Tango and Cash, but I got voted down.
Yes, you did.
You didn't get voted down by me. I love that movie.
It was
Well-
me. I vetoed.
That,
But it was because I was
you know,
wanting to see the Mean Machine again, and you and Scott had not seen it, so
no, I
I,
haven't seen
I
it.
really feel like you should have. So
No, yeah, no, I'm glad I saw it. I mean, like I said, Vinnie Jones acting in it, and Jason Statham, at the beginning of their careers, is great to see him in that. So it was worth it.
well, and the
You
Guy
know,
Ritchie trivia. I mean, that's good to know.
yeah.
Thank you,
I
Linda.
don't even remember Tango and Cash, so I guess we'll have to watch it one week. I don't even remember it. I'm still looking for season 2 of Tulsa Kings. Am I the only one who's missed it? Has it been released? What the
No,
heck's happening with
Season,
not yet.
Tulsa King?
It's not
I
out
think
yet.
they're filming it right now because
You
he's
know
What?
in
it is out.
trouble.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ron.
they're filming it right now because he's in trouble right now because supposedly he said some nasty things about some of the extras that were standing around or something. Who knows? You know how people are these days.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of getting on his ass about that, but they're filming the season right now. So
So
it'll
the
be
second
out soon.
season
I
of.
know
I'm sorry.
huh? Hey,
I
Rich.
thought you were done. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know the Jeremy Renner's show starts in a few days.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that show.
Yeah.
Mayor of
Another
Kingsville.
prison show. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I'm really
Yep.
glad to know that he's recovered from his accident
Oh,
because I was worried that was going to end the show.
you see him moving? He moves great. He moves great.
He's probably got a bionic
He
leg.
yeah, probably. And he can sing too. Tina's watching something on YouTube with him singing a song to his daughter, and he can really sing. I thought he might be like Bruce Willis, or Eddie Murphy, that type of singing, But no, he's a good singer. So look up his YouTube videos if you're a Jeremy Renner fan. I guess he can sing.
We'll do that.
Boy, I'm sounding.
I'm a Jeremy Renner fan. I liked him.
Yeah, me
I do
too.
like
Well,
him.
look his YouTube. He's got albums out, a couple albums out, I think. So
Really? So what you're saying is he is like the modern day version of
Me.
no.
yeah,
Not
Rich.
me. Yeah.
What's
I
that
got your new
guy's
album, Rich.
name?
I
The
got my
Knight Rider
headphones.
guy. I was gonna be
Oh,
funny
David
if I
Hasselhoff.
said, yeah, but I couldn't remember his name. The Hoff. The
He-
Hasselhoff.
the Hoff. He's a better singer than the Hoff. Definitely.
Well, the Hoff is very
Oh, my
famous
dog.
overseas. The Europeans love the Hoff.
Oh yeah. Oh, they probably love Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy too.
They also like was it Jerry Reynolds?
And Rich.
What was his
They like
name?
Rich too. I hear he's big in
Enough
the
said.
Ukraine.
Yeah, in the Ukraine. Yeah.
I don't know. All of Rich's books are in German.
Awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah, no
That's
Ukrainian though. I don't think so. Yeah. Japanese,
Hey.
German, Spanish.
Max Crumb, I totally believe that I agree with you 100%. Wind River is, I think, on my list.
Oh my God, what a great film!
One of
What
the
a great
best.
film that is.
So,
That's boring.
Tyler Sheridan, has he like burned out?
No, he's
Off
No,
his
he's
shows
doing
or like
sitting
everything.
back. He's
on his
sitting back smoking a giant cigarette and saying, "What can I do next to rock these morons?" And
Yeah, but I
once he
mean,
figures
like,
that out,
we're not getting
us
any.
morons are gonna watch.
We're not getting any follow-up seasons.
Mm.
I mean,
They
that's
talk about it.
yeah. I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get them. I want to see the next season. Well, I mean, I never even saw the first season of the Three Sixes.
Oh, it hasn't started
Did
yet.
that get
The Three
canceled?
Sixes.
Uh,
What is
That was
that?
a
I think the
spinoff of
whole
Yellowstone.
Oh.
You're
Yeah, I
right,
haven't
Greg.
seen Yellowstone.
It was a captive audience.
Well, he
I-
had me hook, line, and sinker. I am a huge fan.
I think with Costner leaving the show, I think it derailed a lot of stuff. Because they were talking about having McConaughey and I forget there's some big female actors they're gonna have on there I mean, I don't know. It's like weird, and what about the one with Harrison Ford? Where's that going? Did it just end like that, like 1883 did? Just that's it?
Well, with 1883, I think it was her story, and she died. But
Yeah.
it showed their love for the land. But yeah, the Harrison Ford story, it looked like, I mean, hey, what's going to happen here? We were waiting for
'Cause
that.
there's still more.
We were waiting for that guy to come back from Africa.
Yeah, and it ends with their boat sinking, right? And he's looking for her, I think, or he pulls her
Oh, I
up,
don't.
right? And they're
Oh, I
stuck on
don't
a
see. I didn't
sinking
even
boat.
see that. So I guess I need to watch that last
Wow.
episode.
You do. Sorry, I gave that away. Yeah.
Well, I
But
remember
it's
them being on the. I remember them being on the under the boat turned over and they were on top of it.
okay. Okay, that's how it ends. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the last episode right there. So you
Well,
didn't
no,
miss it.
they
You
got
got it.
picked up by the boat. Remember, and then her ex-lover was on it. Do you need to rewatch the episode? I remember more than you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but then it ends like ends with a cliffhanger.
It was a huge cliffhanger, and I was waiting for them to turn back up in Montana.
Yeah. And that's it. That's as far as it got. You're right. You're on it. I'm sorry. I got the middle mixed up with the ending. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
can't keep
we're
up
waiting
with
for
my
'em to get
names,
there.
so
We're waiting, so I don't know.
yeah, it's a lot of
But
waiting here for Tyler Sheridan. We need to have a talk with him.
well, Rich,
Yeah,
probably
pals.
nailed it. He's back there taking it easy and
Yeah, I'll
thinking
get
about
him
what
on
he
here
can do
next
next.
week. We'll ask him what's up. He lives right
Hey,
there.
would you call him?
We
Is
need
he?
to get Chris
I
and
don't need to.
Argentus back
He's
on.
standing on his back deck. I can see him from here. So
Have the Manson brothers finished their next movie?
I don't know. They don't their podcast show's not even they don't have another season of it yet. So I think they're just really busy with that. You know?
Well, we need to reach out to them. They were fun. Oh, he was fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
he
good
was.
day.
It's too bad we can't get his partner because his partner on their podcast is hilarious.
Well, I
The
mean,
guy that plays his brother,
Well, why can't we
he's
get him?
hilarious.
yeah, why can't we?
We asked Chris if we get them both on the show.
Yeah, we just
You
need
know?
to reach out.
Let's do that.
We've got some
Pals with
time.
Chris, right?
I've got his email somewhere. I think Scott interviewed him last.
Yeah. Oh, those of you if we kind of got you lost, Chris Marguinis, one half of the Manson brothers from the Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre movie. We've had him on the show. Hopefully you've seen the interview with him. He's a great guy. The other brother seems to be a great guy on their podcast, and it'd be fun if we could get both those guys together. I think you guys would really enjoy that show if we got them on the show with us.
Yeah. We need to do more.
If you're listening, Chris.
We would love to have you come back, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, we love Chris.
Yes.
That was
He
a
found
fun
us in the bottom of a pile somewhere. I remember that. He told us that.
No, he heard us talk about him. I think we popped
Yeah,
up
that's
on
cool.
his thing somehow. Anyway, it was delightful to have him. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
so we've given y'all 2 extra minutes tonight. So
Yeah.
well,
Well.
3.
Yeah, you guys. When we go over an hour, you guys have to pay us. So
Yeah,
it's,
it's only because Ash was
$6,000 a
late and
minute.
Craig forgot that today was Thursday. So that's why we've given y'all 3
It's all
extra
Craig's fault.
minutes. But
right.
That's why I
we
tell
were
my
just
wife.
talking
That's why
about
I
her
give you 3
hacker.
extra minutes.
Did we?
That was
did we
a
actually
weird
rate
time,
the
Landa.
longest yard? We never rated the longest yard. I'm giving it a 5.
I'll give it a 5.
I give it a 5.
Damn.
Classic.
I love me some Burt Reynolds, y'all.
Yeah, me too.
Classic.
All right. Well, that's going to be it. Do we know what we're doing next week?
Yeah, everybody's tuning in to hang out with us. That's what we're doing.
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Sting, Civil War, and what was the other one? The Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. Which I have to tell y'all, I am a huge fan of the Fall Guy.
That's got to be next week.
All right, we'll talk about
So
it then.
we've got 3 new movies in. Cool.
Yeah.
Sting, Civil War, and The Fall Guy next week.
Well, we're
fellas.
gonna have to sit. We're gonna have to look and see what we have on our schedule because we'll have to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already seen everything but Sting, so I'm okay with that.
I didn't know he was doing solo movies now.
I see what you did there.
You're so
Thank
funny.
you,
And I'm thinking of
Claire.
I'm thinking of the sword from The Hobbit. So anyway,
The sword. She's thinking of the sword from The Hobbit.
Craig, you need to be subscribed to our Facebook because I send out stuff on Thursdays if I'm going to be on. If I'm not going to be on, then it means I'm tied up and I don't usually have time to do something. But anyway, I'm trying to do better putting our alerts out. However, y'all know what to do until next week.
Hit the like and subscribe button, please.
All that.
And stay weird, folks. Stay weird.
Good night,
Good
everybody.